Hello! Last week I told you that I was having something really exciting happen to me over the weekend, and I'm gonna show you what it is! Hi! This is Newt! To be completely thorough, Sir Newt Isaac Scamander. So that's why I didn't have a video up on Monday, because I've been a little busy with this guy! So he has an Instagram, because why not? It's at Sir_Newt, N-E-W-T. I'll link it below. Yeah, you're a good boy though. I'm gonna put you down now. Say bye-bye. Okay, so I thought today that I would do my February book haul. I had, I don't know how many books. 6, 7, 8. I purchased 11 books in the month of February. Actually, I purchased more, but they're still not here, so I'll just count them for the March one because 11's a lot. So I'm just gonna show you each of the books that I got and tell you a little bit about them. Or what I know of them, because it's not a lot. The first book is Your Heart is a Muscle the Size of a Fist by Sunil Yapa. This is a book that follows the WTO, so the World Trade Organization, riots in Seattle in 1999. And it's a fiction, so it's kind of a historical fiction, sort of. Tells the story from 7 different standpoints of different people on all sides during the protests. It takes place over one day, and I think that that's really interesting to kind of get different perspectives on, you know, the protesters and the police and the other people involved. I'm really excited to read this. It's not that long. It's, I don't know, this long. The next book is a book that I already read and loved, and I'm going to do a full review later this week, but I will just show you now, and it is The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood. I don't want to tell you what I thought about this book, but I will tell you later. This book is basically a dystopian, sort of like post-apocalyptical America story, and it follows the story of a handmaid named Offred, and they're actually making a Hulu series, I think Hulu? Series for this coming out in May or April? It's coming out this spring. I'm very prepared for today's video, as you can tell. But it's about that. And about how women have kind of lost their right to own property and lost their right to basically do everything. And the world's been taken over by religious extremists. I'll talk to you about it later. The next book I got was How to Read Literature Like a Professor by Thomas C. Foster. And the reason that I got this book is because I really wanted to get into more classics this year. I had read a lot of classics in the past, but I feel like I'm not really getting everything that I possibly can get out of them, and I heard some really good things about this book, so don't eat my bracelet. That hurts. Ow! That's my shirt. Let go. And I think that he, from what I have heard, he separates this into different sections. Like there's a section like on Shakespeare and, you know, education. Can't have too much of it. Stop biting me, please. The next book I purchased is Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert. You know, I loved Eat, Pray, Love like everyone else in the world years ago when I read it, and I still love it. I really do. No shame in that. This is her book, basically centers on her experience with inspiration and how she draws it from the world and her experiences, the people she meets. I'm really excited to read it and review it because I've heard good things and the cover is so pretty. Stop eating my books. This won't work if you eat my books. I'm going to have to eat your ears. The next book I got is Radiance by Catherine M. Valente. I've heard good things about this book, although I will say that the premise is a little odd, but in, I think, a good way. It is defined as a deco-punk pulp science fiction alt history space opera mystery set in a Hollywood and solar system very different from our own. Space opera. That's interesting. The next book I picked up was Middlemarch by George Eliot. This is supposed to be a writer's book, meaning that if you are a writer, which I am not, and you don't like this book, they tell you to quit writing, or so I've heard. This book takes place in the middle of the 19th century, and it follows 4 plot lines, some between, so it's not like 4 characters, but 4 plot lines. And it basically showcases the social fabric of Victorian England at the time. I know it sounds kind of stuffy, but I've heard amazing things about this book. I'm really excited to read it, and my Aunt Dorothy, who is a librarian and whose opinion on books I trust very much, recommended it, so I'm gonna read it. The next book I picked up is The Power by Naomi Alderman. This book is a science fiction sort of book. It takes place in a world kind of like how we know it now. Except one day women and girls around the world discover that they can emit electrical energy from their hands and their palms. So this book showcases what happens when women have the physical advantage of strength over men and how that would alter society and our interactions. And I think that the simple transition of power between genders is going to be really illuminating. And I'd also like to be able to emit electric charge from my hands. The next book that I have is What Is Not Yours Is Not Yours by Helen Oyeyemi. This is a collection of short stories that are all linked together, and each one has to do with keys, both literal and metaphorical. I'm not really sure exactly what this is about. I wanted to go in blind to this, as I do with most short story collections, because I like to discover it one piece at a time. And I've heard that this book is feminist. I'm not 100% sure on that. Would you let me know, please? The next book I have to show you is The Unseen World by Liz Moore. This takes place in 1980s Boston, and it follows a girl and her father. Her father directs a computer science lab, and she goes with him to the lab every day. So when she's around 12, which is I think when the story starts, she's really socially inept, really awkward, kind of keeps to herself, really shy. And then her father's mind starts to deteriorate. Now I don't know if that is mentally, or if that's due to injury, or if it's due to chemicals or medicine or madness, I'm not sure. But she's basically left an orphan because her father can't take care of her anymore. So she's taken in by one of her father's colleagues, and from there she starts discovering bits and pieces about her father's past. I don't know what that is yet. I'll let you know when I do. The next book is Three Daughters of Eve by Elif Shafak. I've heard great things about this book. You know, I'm just gonna go out on a limb and say that pretty much every book I buy, I've heard great things about, because I'm not gonna buy it unless I've heard good things about it. I'm just not going to. This follows a Turkish housewife named Peri, and when she is on her way to a party one day, her purse is stolen, and in the tussle to retrieve it back, a photograph falls into the ground, and it is a photograph of her and her two friends back when they were at Oxford University. I think from there the story kind of goes back in her recollection of her 19-year-old self and her experience with her two friends back at Oxford, and it highlights some very important themes, like their take on their Islamic religion and identity. I think that that sounds really good. I think that this is going to be unlike anything I've read before. I do want to read more Muslim authors. I do want to read more diversely, so this will kind of kick that off, and I'm really excited about it. And the last book I have to show you is kind of an older one, but I still wanted to get it anyway, and it is Aziz Ansari's Modern Romance. I don't really feel like I need to say too much about this, but it's basically him conducting interviews and polls and trying to investigate the dynamics of the modern romance world today, dating, sex, relationships, marriage, all having to do with what it's like in the modern world that we live in today and how it's affected everyone. Okay, well that's it. That's my February book haul. Sorry it's a day late, but puppy. And you know, I thought he is a good puppy. He's good. I thought that I was doing really well with sleep, but then today I was trying to get out of my reading chair and I tried to unbuckle my seatbelt. So I don't have a bruise today either because I only have one hand. You're a tall drink of water, aren't you? Yeah. Okay, we'll see you next time.